Hello and welcome to Canvas, the Niger Delta Roundtable, where I discuss the future of this region blessed with hydrocarbon resources. Every week, I give time to reflecting on topics relevant to the development of the Niger Delta and her people. This episode, same thing. I'm here to focus, once again, on how to take our region to a more promising future. The podcast is sponsored by the operator of the NNPC Renaissance Total Energies Ajib joint venture, Renaissance Africa Energy Company Limited, headquartered in Port Harcourt. Thank you for joining. I'm Adidayo in Lushakin. Topic for this episode is sustaining the Niger Delta. Now, the Niger Delta is often described as a region of contradictions, rich natural resources, yet plagued by many problems, full of potential, yet struggling with systemic neglect. But within this complexity, there are voices rising to restore balance. One of those voices belongs to my guest on this episode, a marine biologist, environmental scientist, and entrepreneur whose work spans the lab, the farm, and the forest. From her research on marine pollution to her leadership in bamboo development and agribusiness, my guest is building a model of sustainability rooted in science, community, and innovation. In this episode, we explore her journey, how she's helping small-scale producers navigate agricultural policy, how bamboo is becoming a tool for both climate resilience and economic empowerment, and why the future of the Niger Delta depends on bold, interdisciplinary action. Now, this is not just a conversation about conservation, it's a blueprint for transformation. Again, the topic for this episode is sustaining the Niger Delta, and my guest is Precious Itolima. Precious Itolima is a marine biologist, environmental scientist, and entrepreneur based in Port Harcourt. She leads initiatives in bamboo development, agribusiness, and sustainable tourism, blending science with community empowerment. Now, through her work with PI Nature Limited, NBF P-Man, and Hive, she's helping shape a more resilient and economically vibrant Niger Delta. Hello, Precious. Welcome to Canvas, the Niger Delta Roundtable.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
With the introduction that I just delivered and your accompanying profile, it seems like you're doing a whole lot. Some might even say too much. How are you able to do all of these things and fit all of these things? And I think they might even complement each other. How is that possible? How do you make it work?
Okay, so basically it's complementary. Starting from my career. Actually, I'm a marine biologist by profession. I'm actually running up my PhD. So it's blue economy, it's aquaculture, it's agriculture, part of it. So being in the field, doing your research in the field, you're always in the field, you see things that happen in the field. You look at it and you ask yourself, what can you do more than this? Because of course you're doing a research and your research needs a lot of solutions. And then you find out a bit of it that can be solved locally, a bit of it that can be solved by what you're doing. And then you're looking at for sustainability. So that was how I was able to marry. So I did that. And growing up, I liked agriculture because a part of it saved my life.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you want to share that story?
Okay, so what happened was growing up, I had, people used to think I was a sickler, but I wasn't because I had a lot of ailments. I had ulcer, hereditary, and a lot of issues. And then I couldn't eat food. If I eat, I had this natural diarrhea. So what my grandma used to do then was she comes around and she would just bring some herbs and then squeeze. Before I would eat, she would want to do scent leaf, squeeze it and give it to me for digestion. I used to take a lot of drugs, but it wasn't really working. And I had a very, very, very delicate system. So there's some drugs I would take and it's going to affect me. And then herbs. And because of that, I got used to taking herbs at home, natural herbs. And after then, what happened? I started doing fruit juice smoothies to take because I couldn't take some balance, some kind of heavy food like eba, agari. And those food was a healing, like food therapy that was healing. So I got used to getting things, natural things. So that was how I had an interest in agriculture. And as I grew older, it cleared off. Yeah. So that was my interest.
You are also from the Niger Delta?
Yes, I am. I'm from River State, Abua, to be precisely.
Okay. And I think that's in some way key to the conversation we're going to have today, because from my previous conversations with you and when I read up on you as well, you're passionate about the Niger Delta.
I do.
And its sustenance. So when we talk about sustaining the Niger Delta, what comes to mind for most persons is environmental protection. Okay. And that is a good thing.
Yeah.
But beyond environmental protection, to you, what does sustaining the Niger Delta mean?
Okay, so I will start from saying that Niger Delta is a very rich state. We are surrounded by 40-50% of water resources, and that is blue economy. So we're going to start from blue economy. That's a sustained Niger Delta. We don't look at what happens in the surrounding environment, but we have communities that stay around those areas.
Are we focusing on the Niger Delta now or River State?
River State. So let's start with Andoni.
Okay, go ahead.
Andoni has like 70% they stay in the riverine. They don't do much of farming, but they do agriculture. So blue economy is a sustaining agriculture. And that's aquaculture. We have aquaculture there. We look at marine shippings. We look at, so blue economy covers a part of it. That is a big experience. That's a big break for the Niger Delta, for River State. The Okrika areas, the Bobo area, the Bonny area. Now we look at agriculture. We have the upland who are also into agriculture. They do cassava, they do planting, they do palm fruits. They feed the riverine. And agriculture is a big thing for the Niger Delta, even if we're not doing it rightly or we're not doing it in a large scale. So far, we are not doing it in a very large scale. But however, let's start from the things we have here in agriculture. With the little that the community women are doing, they are trying to feed the state. So let's imagine if a whole lot is being done. We will have a lot of farmers. And I can tell you for free, a whole state we don't have our this thing. We don't even have a tractor, one tractor for a state.
In all of River State?
Yes, they can quote me.
That sounds very far-fetched.
It sounds very strange.
No, wait, are you saying that not even... I imagine that we do have some private farms,
so
right?
So
you're saying even the private farms?
Exactly.
In all of River State, we don't have one tractor.
Exactly. So we have a lot of people who want to venture into farm. And I have a friend that have 60 plots of land. And one of the challenges was the fact that he needed a tractor, even to hire. I have to move all the way to Niger Business Authority. Their tractor is not too nice. I went to my own state, my own university. The tractor is bad.
And on the average, how much would it cost to purchase one?
10 million, 15 million, 5 million, depending on your size, and we can have a tractor. So look at the community woman out there doing this farm. So that is a big thing. Now, looking at tourism too, which is something I'm passionate about because I like traveling.
You know what? Just a moment. And I think you're moving into the question I was going to ask, but I want to ask so it will help guide, because it's an expansion of what you're saying already.
Okay.
And I like the direction you're going. Yeah, we have challenges with agriculture, agribusiness in Nigeria, and several other things for that matter, even tourism as well.
But here in the south or in River State, it's more because, moving to the north or the west, even in a community like a village, some of those farmers don't have tractor. But they have places where they can hire tractors. So those people and they have hectares of farming. One person have close to 50 hectares, 20 hectares. And planting his food or his seedlings is not a challenge for him. Because planting those things is cheaper for him because there are a lot of places can hire those tractors.
So that said, with the inherent challenges, we are still growing food. We still have some agriculture going on. So that said, and I think you were delving into this already. What are some of the overlooked opportunities for economic growth in the region?
So I talked about agriculture. I talked about blue economy. We talked about aquaculture. I will dive a bit to aquaculture. Now, agriculture is big in the sense that, of course, you're looking out for protein. We talk about aquaculture when it comes to fish farming. But beyond fish, we have something called mariculture.
Well, hold on. I see there are point and kill places in Port Harcourt. So how is it overlooked if we still have point and kill?
We don't have, so the point I kill is, those are small, that's a small scale farmers where they are. But what we're looking at, we can't export fish. But the Philippines can export fish. The Philippines. That's aquaculture, where they do fish farming in the deep sea. We don't have that. We've not even started that. So, like the one you can have a fish pond around your house. That's what we feed out here. And we use that.
That's the one for point and kill.
That's the one for point and kill. So, but if you're talking about real fish aquaculture, that's in the deep sea. We don't even have a, you can't say a vessel. We don't have an original vessel of maybe a vessel where we say these people go to this. The vessels we have in Nigeria, in this part of the state, they are foreigners that have the vessel. And these people go to buy fish from them. Now, apart from those vessels that can go deep sea that we don't have as a state, we are looking at deep sea farming. And beyond the fish farming, we have mariculture, algae farming. It's a huge potential right now. It's a multi-billion-dollar project, and a lot of countries are diving into it. Now, looking at what we have in aquaculture, we also have the seafood, which are the oyster, the bivalves. You can't talk of River State, you not talk about periwinkles. Oyster, those native foods that we have. In the wild, we can't get them. So what we're looking at is sustainability. Can this actually be cultured? It can be cultured. And can be cultured in the environment. So far in River State, the only people that do a bit of that culture of seafood is in the Andoni area. And there are about 4 communities doing that. So let's imagine Andoni, Okrika, Boni, you move down to Orashi area that have this mangrove region doing large conservation of seafood culturing. That's a massive business because we also do export periwinkles, but in small scale. So imagine us doing that. So that's for that. Then we are surrounded by tourism. Andoni, as a local government, is a tourist local government. It has the forest, it has everything that it creates. Tourism is overlooked because we have cultural tourism. We have our heritage that's also a tourism destination. We have places, we have the Orashi River, we have the Orashi Azix that is full tourism potentials. But it's a huge one for us.
Before we started this recording, I mentioned to you that I've had the pleasure of visiting Andoni, and it's a beautiful place with huge potentials.
60-kilometer beach path.
Wonderful, really. I was at the beach as well, I think twice. So how then can we, how can local industries like agriculture, crafts, tourism be better positioned to drive development of the Niger Delta, of River State and the rest of the Niger Delta?
So I will start from, let's say this. There's something beyond oil. We are more richer, even beyond the oil, if we look at our natural resources, if we look at the environment. So let's start with the government. They can start looking at it. Those kind of amenities, those facilities that they can naturally do. They can even start with just giving communities good road accessibility. It's going to help. And I'll give you an example. What Akwa is doing right now. Akwa was a state where a whole lot of things was happening. And the first thing, I can't remember the particular governor, but you remember there was a particular governor in Akwa that came in and did road accessibility in the whole state. That every community was accessible to a road. Right now in River State, you can see, if you go to my one, there's a spot where Akwa will come all the way from Akwa to come herself. So if we even have basic amenities for these local farmers, for this small scale industry, make it favorable for us, it will go a long way. That's like for the minute thing that the government can do for the communities and for the environment. And then, of course, let's venture it. Let government try to patronize and tell us that beyond oil, we have other things we are doing in our states. So looking at it now, we cannot tell ourselves, there are a lot of businesses that are trying to thrive on this, in this environment. Like finance is a big problem. We don't have. I can still give an example. If compared to the northern counterparts, Bank of Industry, Bank of Agriculture, there are microfinance banks, and they support farmers. In fact, if you're a farmer, you can be in your house and your chief will come and meet you that you need money. They do it so well that, you know, those kind of food that come like from just down to River State, that truck is subsidized transportation for them to bring food down. So these are things that makes it work for them.
But the Bank of Industry is not just for northern farmers. The Bank of Industry for farmers everywhere.
Yeah, so but they would, because they feel we are not farmers here. So there's no platform where they can now look at it and say, okay, farmer. Meanwhile, we have struggling farmers here. We have people who are trying to strive. I have a person, someone reached out to me some 2 weeks back and about a farmer that's in Ogoni. He has close to 150 plot of land. It's nothing compared to someone that has. But for us here in the South, 150 plot of land is plenty. You understand? And the issue is that right now, to get people who can work in that farm, it's hard. So he needs a tractor. He needs access to a business. He needs access to a market. So if these things are available, if these things are made clean and it make work for farmers and for other things people are doing, small scale business owners, it's going to go a long way. And then we are also good in the processing value chain, like the Gary processing. If government could also make cluster of industries around some communities where people can even come and do Gary, and then it's going to do a whole lot for these farmers.
Bamboo is central to the work that you do.
First,
what is your fascination with bamboo? Let's start with that. And then two, how can it be used not just for conservation, but also for job creation and rural enterprise?
Okay, so when I say doing conservation, when I say looking at how to use what's sustainability of not to use reduce plastic in our environment, and I say I discovered something. Our trees take longer time to grow. Mahogany can stay for like 25 years. Some of them stay like 30 years before it go to maturity. So when we are cutting these trees, it takes a whole longer. And besides, we're not planting these trees back to the forest when we cut them. And so we looked at bamboo. Bamboo takes like 3-4 years to mature. And bamboo is a very, very strong plant. So we felt, okay, people already say cutting bamboo. Can we do something with it? And we looked at China. China thrived in the economy of bamboo. From their history, you can't remove history of China without bamboo. I'm sure there are like 5 states dedicated to just plant bamboo. The industry, what they know how they do their industry, government make sure they just build industry just strictly for bamboo industry. And I was looking at it and I felt, okay, can we start using bamboo? So I started doing research and I'm like, what can we use bamboo things to do? So I started with cups, we started with other things. And it helped. So when I reached out to craftsmen, and besides their local craftsmen, and I told them that I want to start test running this. And they're like, okay, can we try? So we gave them ideas. We told them how to go about it. And it helped. And I told them, if you do it, I will take it from you. I will buy it from your hand and I will sell it. And they were happy. Apart from that, now, why bamboo? Bamboo is used for a whole lot of things. For us right now, bamboo is just used for scaffolding. Bamboo is beyond scaffolding. There's something called biochar. That's like you bond, like the way we bond with plants, we build trees and it becomes charcoal. Biochar is a big industry. It's multi-billion-dollar industry because you use that for a whole lot of things. Now, there's a company called Calcare. Calcare do clothes like cotton. They don't use cotton, they use bamboo. They shred bamboo and turn it into textile material where they use it for their cotton material, for duvet, for blankets. So what we think we can use cotton for, we can actually use bamboo to those textile things. That's another big business. So when people start cutting that bamboo, it gives opportunity for job opportunities, People, if been invested. And of course, we don't plant bamboo, it's in the forest. And right now we are advocating for bamboo planting because there's a whole lot of things coming in for bamboo.
What have you learned from working with small-scale producers across, the southern states, river states, and other adjoining states?
I think I will take a deep breath because let's start with the craftsmen, right? It wasn't easy because by the time I went to Sarishina to craftsmen, my challenge was a lot of them were old people. The younger generation, the youth are not going to learn. They're not learning the crafts. So usually I just had people who were old, and this was something they've been doing for a long, long time. And then their kids will not want to learn because, of course, they want to look for a better future. So they will tell you that if you want me to do this kind of a thing for you, you have to give me money. So you need to give them money, encourage them. But by the time they don't see that, so my push was, let's do this. Let's open business with this. Let's expose people that this is our thing. And I started asking questions. So I moved to Akwa Ibom, I moved to Delta State, I moved to Edo State, looking for craftsmen and then telling them. And of course, I had people who were encouraging me because I had friends from Ekiti State and other states, and they were doing very well because, of course, tourism thrive in their own state very well. I told them, look, these are the things that people grew up doing. This is something that we can actually keep going. Well, challenging at first, but right now it's moving. One of the things I feel is trying to see how we can make the youth and also create craft centers, developing people can actually learn this skill for free, which is going to give a whole lot because it's part of our tradition. These are things, like when I grew up, I know when I go back to the village, my grandmother has a clay pot, and that was our first fridge. These are things that these people are doing. And we have a lot of places like Delta State. There are some places in Delta State that have good clay for clay pot. There's somewhere I went to, Omoko, and their soil is very good for ceramic. I had somebody who did that ceramic, but the man died. Nobody to learn from him. So that craft died. Now, if we move back to Akwa Ibom now, I'm David for Niger Delta. We call the Rafia city Ekotepene. I can count how many craftsmen we have there right now. In fact, there was this particular old man, right? He used to design this fine bag for me. And I love the way he devised because he had this very way of doing these things. And I asked him, God forbid, though, Papa, if he died now, who go do this thing? He said, I don't know. And I liked his craft. 3 months later, the man died, and that was how that craft died. So it's a big challenge for us because part of our heritage is craft in the Niger Delta, in the south, in this part of the region. And it's actually there. Imagine Edo State is dying off. They were good in bronze. How many people are doing that?
How do you see, let's go back to agriculture for a bit. How do you see agribusiness evolving in the Niger Delta?
Okay, so I have so much hope. You guys used to sing about it some years back. Now, agriculture have moved to a whole lot. So we have climate smart agriculture. So when people are talking about climate change, right, I kept telling people that, I tell my friends then that, see these rice that we are planting in the north, we hear them because by the time it hits, it's going to be an issue. Rice needs a swampy place to grow. So while you're planting it in the north, it means you're going to do a whole lot of irrigation. So along the line, I met someone who now said that actually rice planting was actually supposed to be in Niger Delta around Oduao, Bayelsa area. Before it was, in short, I think it was Power Brewery that started planting rice then because they were still trying to test on what to use for malt before they got barley. And they produced a whole lot of rice because it didn't work out. They now decided to go for barley. And they sold those rice. So that was massive. So let's imagine from that time till now, if we are planting rice continuously, what would have happened to the rice? Because there you don't need irrigation. You just need to plant it in the swamp. And we have the soil. We have for the swamp. So what I'm trying to say, our land is massive and is good, a whole lot. Those vegetables that are being planted in Jos, I mean planted here in the south. And it's a massive thing. Now, I will digress a little bit. Cattle rearing, they bring it to the south to feed them, right? Now, I do a bit of extension work for Nigeria Agribusiness Group. And some of the things we do is policy making. And there was also the policy making that talks about dairy policy in Nigeria. Those cows that are being brought from the north, that trek from wherever they're coming from down to the south, cannot produce milk. We import in milk in this country massively, even if we have those companies here. The only cows that can produce milk have to be ranched. And ranched means that you have to feed them with grasses and a whole lot of things. Those kind of ranch can be found. They have to be located somewhere around the south. So however the government look at it, federal government, state government, they should also look at it, the fact that some of the things they are struggling in the north, they should bring it down to the south for us. It will work out for them. Now, there's a research I'm doing on mariculture, growing of algae in the water. Some of those algae, some of those mariculture, those plants are good for those cows for lactation. So if you give them those kind of things, it means that those cows are going to have a lot of milk. And you cannot plant those algae except in the water bodies. So let's see somewhere like Andoni or Quaker. You train those women, let them be planting those algae. That's a full business on its own. So there are a whole lot of opportunity. And because we are crying about climate change right now, there they are looking for water to plant their product, and they're doing irrigation. Here we have the water, we have the stream, we have the river. So we don't have much to pay to do those kind of farming if given the opportunity to do it, if encouraged. If federal government, like Federal Minister of Agriculture, there are some things they give to different farmers in different states in the country. Those things don't come to the River State side of the thing. So there are some grants, there are some things that were supposed to be there. So even if it's just half.
But you just described how also you doesn't seem like you have a vibrant population or a population that's even interested in that as well.
We do. And they are struggling because they can't even go to the bank and bank give them loan because they feel that they can't survive it. But right now, there is a whole merging new generation that are trying to do something out there. And they're really pushing.
It is Canvas, the Niger Delta Roundtable, brought to you by Renaissance. We're discussing sustaining the Niger Delta. My guest is Precious Itolima. We go for a break. We'll return shortly. The conversation will continue. Please stay with us.
In the heart of our journey, where the sun touches the earth and the wind whispers through the trees, a new chapter unfolds. A chapter where energy illuminates more than just bulbs. It lights up minds. A chapter of unity, a coming together with a common goal to energize futures and illuminating lives. In classrooms, young dreams evolve, inspired by the promise of a brighter tomorrow fueled by available energy. Small businesses flourish, becoming seeds of prosperity. Energy that empowers and is catalyst for growth and change. The future is energy. So, let's light up the path to a sustainable future together. Energy for you, me, and the world at large. Energy for people and planet. We are Renaissance.
Welcome back to Canvas, the Niger Delta Roundtable, brought to you by Renaissance. I'm Daya. We're discussing sustaining the Niger Delta. My guest is a Niger Deltan and knows all about what we need to do to sustain the Niger Delta. Precious Itolima, you're welcome again.
Thank you very much.
You talked about support a while ago.
Okay.
And even while we were on the break as well, having a conversation, you've spoken strongly about what is lacking in the Niger Delta in certain key areas or industries like agriculture, even tourism and craft as well, is support. So what kind of policy support is needed to unlock the region's full development potentials?
Okay, so we need developmental support. When I mean developmental support, I mean let the government focus on other things apart from oil. Let there be an intention, the way we become intentional about politics. This kind of policy that will make people to understand that there's school to learn. There are other things that, look, okay, if you're in agriculture, there's a scholarship for you. There's some things that you bring down that people now know that, okay, if I go to this part of it, there's money. So we need, for the agriculture sector, for the tourism sector, there should be a whole lot of policy that goes around that area. Then I really recommend a lot of infrastructure, road infrastructure, electricity. Then the policy of there should be security. Communities should know that this is their thing. So for me, because I feel the whole of things, once government are involved, there will be a lot of peace, because they know that it's important. They should know that this part of the environment, this part of the area can also bring money the way the oil money comes. So it's a very big potential for us. So the infrastructure is actually needed very well. And then, of course, government policy concerning governance, like they should also involve the communities when they are doing their policies. There's a whole lot of things that these people have. They know what to do. that if you involve them, they can tell you how they want to do the way they should do it. So there should be a lot of advocacy policy where the community can be involved in what they are doing. So it's going to really, really, really help.
Using your example, if you don't mind,
Okay.
How can science and entrepreneurship work together to solve local challenges? Because you seem to have done the perfect job of merging both.
Okay. So let's start for River State. We can start with STEM, science, technology, education. The way we do our training in the school, they should add a bit of entrepreneurship to it. It's going to help because there are a whole lot of research going on in the school, in the universities that's not been brought out. And then they should also look at where we research. What I do right now in the school because of where I work in the university, what I started doing was I have to move out of the school a bit and start moving out to get engaged with the environment and not just environment in the business world. And I discovered something. The school have a lot of information. They have a lot of research, a lot of problem-solving experiences that is actually found in itself. Meanwhile, the environment or the society have a lot of problems that those things can be solved. So what I started doing is that I started moving now to event man. So if I go to an event and I ask them, what's your problem? They tell me their problem. I will go back to the school and I'll tell them. I'll meet a professor and say, can I invite you for an event? Speak on this. And I said that with food science and agriculture, faculty of agriculture. And we discovered that there's some things that can be solved. So if they can also have a place where we'll have a round table between the academicians, the investors, and then the business people. If it's a conference, I think they can share ideas. It's going to give a whole lot of, because then we look at innovation hubs. We need a whole lot of innovation hubs in River State, where these things can be found, where machineries can be used, and then people come together and be taught. And we also need to have a lot of training centers, skill acquisition training centers. So this is where we can actually do a change of knowledge between entrepreneurs, business people, and of course the youth and community.
How about rural or grassroots organizations and local leaders? What roles do they have to play in driving and sustaining development?
For grassroots development, they've tried. Somebody said something, I think that was Samson Abuli. He said, it's because people like the farmers in Nigeria, they are depriving themselves of what they are. If not, that's why the food is cheap. Because what they put into it is far beyond what they sell, those kind of things. If these people are giving a hearsay, like, let me give you an example. I go for a research and I go to the field. The first thing I do is to do an advocacy, reach out to the communities and ask them, who knows how to do this? Like, I do more of marine research and I will look for a fisherman and I will pay a fisherman. Let's go to the field. And I start asking him a lot of questions. 80% of what I need, the result I need, that fisherman tells me everything. So I was doing a research on population dynamics, which was my PhD thesis. And I asked him, this particular species of fish, what time does it come into the river? They know when. They know the one that comes in night. They know the one that goes in the morning. They know the one that will migrate 5 times in a year. They know the one that at the point when they give birth, which is called recute. So they have this indigenous whole knowledge that is just stuck with them. And because we don't write down our own ideas when it comes to community people. So people have a whole lot of information. And it's just there. So for us, these people have been doing a whole lot. Nobody's hearing them out. So it's time to engage them because they have a lot of solutions and they've been struggling and they're very resilient because what these people do is hard work.
How about local leaders? As I asked earlier, are they doing enough to drive the conversations and sustain the momentum? If you watch the media space in River State and maybe even the rest of the Niger Delta, what forms the bulk of discussions at very high levels? If it's not politics, it's oil and gas. And that's just it. You hardly hear conversations. It's sustained conversations. I'm not talking about one-off events where people gather and talk shop. Okay. You don't have sustained conversations and policy formulation and implementation, sustained, that drives agriculture, that drives tourism, that drives craft. Are the local leaders doing enough? Or what can they do better?
Okay, so I'm going to give you an example of When I was serving, I was in Ondo State, and I discovered something these people do. They have, just like they have courts where people come and do their problem. They have local courts where it's being done by some people, the very smart people in the communities and local chiefs. And they actually do a video of them. Sometimes you watch them in the television. Now, what we discovered, these people made them to understand that your knowledge is very important. There's a local idea you have that is very good. So they take it as part of what they do. So they have this very local community, and they're well paid. So these community people, they might not have everything. They might not have all the knowledge they require. But if you come in and give them a lot of money that are like money and make them, because you know how human beings are, they want to give you what you want. But however, if the government or other policy-making organizations or companies now come in and say, look, we don't want what you're doing. We want a real idea of what you're doing. You'll be shocked what those people will be doing. You will find out that they have all ideas of what they could do to change a whole lot of things. So maybe I will also say that we are not asking them the right questions. Yeah, we are not even engaging them in the right way. Because once we engage them in the right way, these are the same people that I think they can be talking about politics every day and looking at community problems can come up and they start solving a whole lot of issues.
If you were asked or commissioned to design a development blueprint for the Niger Delta, what would be the top 3 pillars?
Okay, so thinking about this, first of all, development is important for me. So when I mean development, it means economic development, diversification. So under diversification, we are looking at agriculture, we are looking at aquaculture, blue economy, we are looking at craft, we are looking at other things that people do in the Niger South, Niger Delta area. For a start, I also think infrastructure is a pillar for us. South is one of the places where we have bad roads. We have bad roads, like roads. In short, by the time you're moving from the east and you're coming down to the south side, you start from Edo State, that's the beginning of bad roads. It's not going to work for us. So infrastructure should be kept in place. Road, hospitals, education, that basic amenities is a big thing for us. And we think it should be done. So basic amenities, like if we have farmers in River State, we should have extension workers. We don't have extension workers that go all the way to solve people's problem. Let me give you, for example, what I was doing cassava farming. We were doing lettuce and we use manure. And during rainy season, when the rain splashes, and because it's a organic manure, the rain touches those manure. And those are like physics of poultry feeds. So definitely we start like fungi and all the rest. So when that thing starts, when it falls and it hits the soil, of course it might have like fungi and all those things. So it hits the lettuce and they die off. But we didn't know what was the problem. But if we have extension workers that come around to meet farmers and tell them what to do, it will go a long way. So then we have extension workers in the south, move to the southwest and the north. Extension workers is attached to maybe one extension worker to like 5 persons. And these people are working, they are communicating. So these are things that we can look at. And of course, if I'm still particular about agriculture, because for me, if half of what is done in other regions are done here in agriculture, there will be food, there will be a whole lot of food in this country for feeding us and for exports. Because we have, the Niger Delta region is quite a unique part of it. So it has a whole lot to give. Yeah.
What gives you hope about the future of the region?
Okay, so the hope that gives me was recently when I heard that Dangote is in Bayelsa. And he will soon do something. So it tells me that people are now thinking that they should start coming all the way down. I have friends who are in the north, and of course, there's a whole lot of challenges what they are doing. Farming is becoming a bit tough for them because there's also insecurity there. People are moving and a lot. So last 2 years, when we had issue with Jos, I told them that the next planting season, the next season where people will be buying food, it will be scarce. And they don't understand. You cannot chase community to run away. And those communities are people that farm. And you expect food from nowhere to come from nowhere. Because the people that are farming in that location, they've run. So we are issues that are coming up. Here is not that bad. At least we are not running away from our communities. The only thing we need is to make sure that we motivate ourselves and also give us amenities that people can farm. So for me, is those things they are doing out there, they should just bring it down for us a bit.
As a people,
Yeah.
as Niger Deltans, as Rivers people,
Yeah.
What conversations do we need to be having as well? What do we need to do different? Yes, we want encouragement, we want policy, we want them to ask the right questions, engage us properly, but it's a two-way street. So from our side of things, what should we start doing different?
Mind change. I'm very particular about that because I remember the first time, okay, some of the times I do farm work and I can't tell my parents that I'm a farmer. So I remember my dad's a professor. I remember once he told me that if you know you're going to be hustling like this, then I should have not allowed me to send it to school. I would have just given you money to start something. Because there's this mindset for us in the South that looks as if you're a farmer or you're a craft person, you'll be the first person to tell your child that I don't want you to do what I'm doing. Meanwhile, if you move other places, they know that's what their livelihood. And everybody, if you like, come down there, you go to school, you come back, you enter the farm. So one of the things we need to discuss with our service might change. Farming is not a poor man's business. Oil, yes, but there's something beyond oil. So that orientation of knowing that these things are real, and then of course for the youth, there's a lot of thinking. So I try to do that right now for students, in the school. Like I have a business where I do fruit juice, and the people I employ are undergraduates. While they're in the class, I tell them that if you want to have a part-time job, come and work for me and I'll pay you. So that's to encourage them so they can do handcraft. And some of them, I have to teach them how to do this product. And I have one now that's out of school and she's doing that a business. So let's make it know, let them know that it's very lucrative. Let them know that this is the deal. This is the gold mine. So for us, there's a whole lot of things that we need to do, advocacy, and then trying to change the mindset of people in the community, in the youth out there. For women are the ones sustaining us so far right now in farming.
Talking about the youth and the young ones,
yeah.
When you were describing the experience with some of the older craftspeople,
yeah.
And unfortunately, some of the persons you met did pass away and their crafts died with them. And maybe we're even experiencing similar things in agriculture as well, vis-a-vis the mindset. What message do you have for young persons who are listening right now and who want to make something of their lives and contribute? Because not everyone will work in the oil and gas industry. Not everyone will get a political appointment. What do you have to say to them?
Okay, so I think I will start with the set of youth that are into tech. And at least those ones have chosen something to do. And I want to tell them that, look, there's a whole lot happening in this value chain that we need the youth to engage with the farmers because it can make them, if someone is in the village and has something to sell, and the person can sell it, and we have someone that have a website where you can aggregate this from and tell people that, look, there's something fresh coming from the farm. That's a business deal. So tech will get to solve a whole lot of problems for us. And these are things that the youth are involved. So we need e-commerce, we need a whole lot of things, we need this business to be online, and then of course we talked about drones and all the rest. Agriculture have moved from what we are doing. Who are these hoes we are doing? We have people who use drone to plant, we use drone to do irrigation. So somewhere is in US has 1,000 hectares of farm, and then he's just in his house pressing some things and things are happening. That's where farming have moved to. Have moved to soilless, have moved to horizontal. So yeah, we are still on the primary. Out there, it's something else. So we are saying, look, we don't want you to come to and do whole farming. We want you to do something else. So there's a new trend of things happening there. And then for our youth that are there that have not made a decision, if you like, you go eat. Anything you want to do, you must eat. See that food, then a farmer. So as long as you're going to eat, it means that food, if you don't think of what you're going to do, you have the energy. And that food is not going to be enough because it might make all the money. If they don't put food for you, you're not going to eat. And if you don't eat, you go die. So let's have a broader mindset and tell yourself that, look, if you think the one you're doing, people are doing is farming or other things. I keep saying this farming because it's very important. Because I know the potential we have it here. If you think there's a better way, which there are a better way, come in, let's talk about it. let's do it. You know.
I'd like for you to talk a bit about some of the things that you're doing personally, about some of your businesses, and especially for those who might want to reach out and do business with you as well. How can that happen?
Okay, so
Because I believe that a lot of what you're doing can be scaled. So
yeah, so part of my passion is for the farming here. So we have a team of people who are into different states where we do farm work. So for some of you who want to get involved to a farmer and feel that we need to scale up, we have farmers that we can reach out and say, look, let's find a way to scale this off. You know. Then for crafts, it's something that's very personal to me. I'm looking out for, I don't want to do crude farm crafts anymore of using hand and some. We have machineries out there that we can move it to the next level. And I've not gotten there yet. So this craft has also moved to a different level when it comes to this. So craft, we do the local one for the artisans, but for industrial wise, we also need some kind of equipment, you know. Then tourism. Right now, I keep telling myself, if there's anywhere we have events or something about tourism, I will volunteer myself. I met a friend who introduced me to Bonny Marathon race, marathon festival that's coming in December 20th. And they've been doing this for 8 years, you know, and I'm like, okay, let's see what goes. That is tourism. That's a 15-kilometer tourism. I've been to Barino like 4 times. I go there sometimes for holiday. So all these events, all these destinations are destinations that we feel that people, let's talk about it. Let's organize it. Because tourism is something that can earn a whole lot of us. So for me, I want to be here. If somebody wants to reach out to me, let's talk about tourism in the United States. It's a new thing that I feel we should discuss about. In fact, one of the pet destinations I'm looking at is Andoni. Yes, and I've started doing some local. I want to go to, but between now and December, I want to do a hiking now in Andoni. And I want to carry friends out there to say, let's do hiking before they will do their beach party, you know.
Yeah. I remember.
And biodiversity. I want to, you know, I want to talk about the biodiversity. That is related to my career. And I will talk a bit about it, you know. The things we learn in school was documented to us. And those things that were documented, there has been a lot of change because, of course, things change, you know, when they say that evolution. So some of those things that we've learned that are seen in our textbook, we don't have them again existing to a level. So how do we have a current curriculum of what covers in the environment, like biodiversity, the plants and this? And I noticed something growing up, like being a science student. A lot of the laws that was being taught in school, like Mendel first law, second law, we are done in the monarch. These are ordinary priests who were studying the environment. And they wrote down what they did. And that's what we are studying. So it means that the next set of information that we need to know about environment is being in the field. And anybody can just do it for the fun's sake. You know, so what I'm doing right now is biodiversity, where people can just do hiking, go down to the forest and take pictures of the kind of plant. It might be insect sighting and take a lot of pictures. And we find out that there are a whole lot of insects that are found in our environment now that we don't know that are existing. And it can be documented for our children to know that these are things we are found here. The same thing with plants, the same thing with birds. So Finima does a bit of bird watching. But we have other environment and we don't know exactly the kind of birds we have in the environment because it's not found in the books. And maybe the last time that book we were reading was by a white man 50 years ago. A professor once told me, like, I'm from Abuadwa. In my community, I'm from Emligboko. And this professor told me, Professor Kane, he said, there's a particular set of birds that are found in South Africa during the dry season and during the winter time. Those birds migrate from South Africa down to my community, my forest community. And I'm like, how? He said, because they are running away from the winter and they need to be in our environment a bit. And I said, my own village. I was shocked. He said, yes, but it's not documented because he's a wildlife scientist, but he noticed that, you know, because he saw that and he's a well-traveled scientist, by wildlife scientist, but it's not documented, you know. So for us, we can do these things, biodiversity, we can learn about environment, document it. And of course, we have sites like Naturalist where we can naturally capture all these things. Before you know it, people will just take this information and use it for textbook. However, the information was done by lame people like us, like every other person. where we'll take people down to the wild and we'll be taking pictures of birds, we'll be taking pictures of plants, we'll be taking pictures of animals. We might find out that the snake, particular kind of snake that is found somewhere in one community is not found anywhere. And maybe that snake doesn't even have a name. And we'll be like, okay, you that found this snake, let's name that snake after you. So that's how animals are being named. There are a lot of animals being named apart by the persons that, so by the time you're going for what they call for your naming, you might say the person that found that he might be the one to have that name. So there's a whole lot. I know some companies have been doing that because I remember when I was younger, my dad did a project with Niger Delta Environmental Survey, which was sponsored by Shell and other companies together. And they did a whole comprehensive thing because while I was studying biodiversity, I have to ask my father, I did those things you could do in NDS. And they tried because they did a whole lot of mapping, a whole lot of biodiversity things in the Niger Delta. So they have a comprehensive information. But between then and now, there's something called evolution. Those kind of animals, some of them would have died, others would have changed to something else, So for me, that part of it, I want to talk about it.
Like I said at the beginning, you do a whole lot.
Some are career, some are fun.
Precious Itolima, thank you so much. It's been interesting listening to you and having this conversation.
Yeah.
And thank you for being a part of this. And this episode discussed the state in the Niger Delta. And my guest, Precious Itolima, has a whole range of brilliant ideas as to how we can accomplish that. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I really had a wonderful time.
Play your role as well. Let's start having the right conversations. And like my guest mentioned, we need to have a change of mindset as well. And for those in leadership and in position, start asking the right questions and engaging the people properly as well. And we just might see that rejuvenation, much needed in Rivers State and the rest of the Niger Delta. Thank you for being a part of this edition of Canvas, the Niger Delta Roundtable brought to you by Renaissance. I'm Gail. Bye for now.